Hello there. Once again, it is time to take another revealing peek back into history.
What famous date shall I set it to today?
Thank you for joining us on this throwback episode of Vicis Interimo, the awesome podcast with the unpronounceable name. Since we've been doing this for well over a decade now, looking back at these shows is kind of fun, seeing what's happened in the world of horror and what happened in the world in general back then. But before we get into the show, I'd like to thank our current patrons at Lonely Bob, Big Al V, and Goldafish. And one other reminder, and that is any links or things you may hear mentioned in the show may no longer exist or be clickable. Be that as it may, I hope you enjoy the show.
I don't know.
Monkeys will fly out your butt?
Exactly.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yay. I'll just leave it at that and just keep rolling then.
That's a good idea. That's what I would do.
Gonzo may get that gangsta Interimo after all. Anyhow.
You know what it is? It's the heat. It's making me angry.
Well, that's certainly not helping for sure, but we'll get more into that later. Right now, let's talk about this being episode 123. Today's movie review is She Creature. Before that, we're going to have our lengthy Laid to Rest. Well, not lengthy, but it's been longer than the other ones we've had in the past recently.
Wait, so what makes you think today's is going to be lengthy?
Well, we've got some comments both from Gonzo from Horophilia and Al V from back east.
Okay.
So we're going to cover a couple of comments that were made on our page there. We're going to do our movie review, a garbage in, garbage out. And what about Crawling Chaos? We got one of those this week?
Sure, we always do.
Sweet. All right. Well, let's get to it then.
Okay.
I'm going to throw in some music, and we'll be back to do Laid to Rest.
Trust your senses and don't look this bitch in the eye.
So for Laid to Rest, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit of this in the interest of moving things along, but we've got a couple of comments from a couple of listeners. I'm going to start with Al, since Al went back a few episodes, so going all the way back to episode 120.
Mm-hmm.
He said he always likes our show, and really that's the only important thing he said.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
There must be more, surely.
There was more, yeah. He went on to talk about the letter and it being a tough call, and the fact that we're really not trying to evangelize anything but movies, and to get people to think bigger. And
well, now, that's so random. If anyone's listening to us for the first time, they don't know what you're talking about.
Well, it was episode 120 when your Crawling Chaos brought up an interesting point as to whether our podcast encouraged demonic behavior. No, that's not it. Whether talking about horror movies and so on was a bad influence on people. You know, maybe. And this was brought up by a family member. And, well, you can go back to episode 120 and hear the whole thing, but that's the general gist of it, you know. And
well, it was sitting around talking about all things horror. Basically, the concern was, are you pulling people away from the light?
Yeah. Well, I don't think we are. I don't think...
No.
and we agreed. This got into a whole discussion about and with Bill Obrist Jr. And also, Al here says that he feels that as we talk about it, you learn to appreciate the light better after being in the dark. And he actually mentions, and I'm quoting, "Didn't Jesus spend more time describing hell than heaven? I guess he figured the lasting images of where we don't want to be could serve as a better lesson." So there you go.
Cool.
Yeah. So moving on then.
Okay.
To episode 121.
I was going to thank Bill Oberst for the very nice note he wrote me.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
For Al, he had also was confused about where to post any comments and so on that he makes. And you can post them anywhere you like. On the page on Facebook is probably the best and quickest way we're going to get it. Or just email them directly to me. You can email me at madsaxon@yahoo.com. That's SAXXON, MADSAXXON @yahoo.com. Or anywhere on the Facebook page. The confusion there, though, was because I always post a link to or post an image of the artwork.
Right.
So you can get a sneak peek and kind of see. I usually get those up a day or so, maybe even before we actually put the podcast up. And in that case, kind of gives you a sneak peek as to what we might be talking about. Those do change last minute, too. But anyhow, so post anywhere you like on the Facebook page. Just punch in Vicis Interimo, VICISINTERIMO on Facebook, and you can find the page. And so he went on to comment about Rango, which was in our garbage out section.
Yes.
And he says Rango was a little strange and took more effort than I expected to watch. It seemed like it would be a typical kids movie, but then it got all lost. No real likable characters, and not always sure I should root for Rango himself. And yeah, I think that really sums it up. It took more effort to watch, but having said that, I love the visuals on it, and that was my thing. So I think I could actually watch it again just for those delicious visuals for me.
Oh, no.
I wouldn't put you through it, though.
You'll be watching that one by yourself.
Yeah, I think I probably would.
Yeah, I'm with Al. He took the words right out of my mouth.
Well, he went on to say that the animation was excellent, as was the sound design.
Yes, the animation was so good. The animals looked, some of them were so disgusting with their, like, rotting teeth and their, you know, those really up-close, tight shots of their faces and bodies, and they all just look gross.
Well, he said after it all ended, he didn't feel like he had enjoyed the ride. Instead, he was just happy it was over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed.
On episode 122, again, this is from Al V., he said he remembered really liking Identity and only kind of remembered the graphic stuff. And I do think that's why we talked about it being horror as opposed to, or a thriller as opposed to horror.
Yes.
That, yeah, you kind of forget those things. You tend to be the intrigue and stuff that stays with you.
Right. Yeah, I'd forgotten it, too, because I'd seen it so, quite a while back, and I think we agreed we maybe came in the middle of it or something, but I did remember, once I saw them, I remembered those graphic images. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, you forget them. As soon as you're on to the next scene, it's forgotten. You're not... they don't have such a huge impact that you're, scarred with these visions of gory horror. It's nothing like that.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm going to go ahead and say it. This is a spoiler alert.
Oh, okay.
No?
Sure, go ahead and say it.
Okay, everybody skip forward 15 seconds if you don't want to know. But we've got Busey there with the baseball bat basically shoved down his throat. And it looks really bad. Does it not? Bad as in gross or just bad as in... It's disturbing. Very disturbing, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty... So that was absolutely horror. The casual, casual horror fan who loves thriller and psychological thrillers more, who may not... not even casual horror fan, I shouldn't even say that. Someone who loves psychological thrillers might be a little taken aback by some of the violence or images in the movie. Okay. I mean, for horror fans, it was like, meh. It's light. It was light horror. Right. Yes. But definite horror nonetheless. Yeah.
Okay.
That's not something you want to run into and see.
No, you certainly don't.
If I saw that in person, I would probably be scarred for life. So.
Well, let's hope you never see that then.
Let's hope.
In the interest, I'm going to move it along, but he also talked about the rating system and made a suggestion, but I think you actually responded to him back there on the page on that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Yeah, it's not necessarily a difficulty of the rating system. It's just rating it at all, right, as far as numbers?
Yeah.
Giving it a numerical value seems hard for you?
Like I said, it's just so definitive. Like, this movie's a 4. This movie's an 8. You know, I can't. There's just too many variables and too many different kinds of people who like different kinds of movies. I guess if I'm rating it just for myself, but like it's just really hard for me to say, well, for me, you know, I loved it so much it's a 9 and that's the end of it. But I know people who would hate the movie and who would say, what are you, nuts? It's like a 2.
Well, chances are.
I'm thinking too hard about everyone else's opinions and what I'm trying to rate it for, like, everybody I know. Like, well, it'll be a 4 for you and it'll be a perfect 10 for you. You're going to hate it so much it's going to be like a -3. You know, I'm thinking of, so I need to just stop doing that. And,
yeah. Well, I was going to say, I think anybody that's listening to this podcast is going to have some common ground with us, and therefore the rating system would apply or whatever. And I'm just going to keep asking you. I just like getting you frustrated even if you don't want to give an answer. So.
That's great.
Isn't that wonderful? Sure. So one other quick spoiler, and it's not really a spoiler because we watched the trailer again for Identity, and what I didn't want to talk about last week actually shows up in the trailer. So I guess it's really not a spoiler, or maybe it's, I don't know. But you know what? The whole thing is actually seeming even less impressive now when it comes to the birthdays. And I know this sounds weird, but it seemed interesting at the time. But like I said, now I'm like, oh, wait, maybe this is just a lame factoid. But this is my crawling chaos. When it comes to birthdays, do you realize that if you were to get to get about 22 people in the same room, the chances are 50-50 that you're going to find 2 people that have a matching birthday. Now, I don't have all the numbers for this, but I got it from a very reputable source. It's funny, I guess I should call this reputable. The book is called How to Cheat at Everything, and I'm saying it's reputable. But anyhow.
They've got you fooled.
No, I don't think so. I come to trust Simon Lovell, who was the author of this book.
Well, now, when you say the same birthday, you mean...
I mean two people in the room.
Yeah, I got that part.
2 random people, not the same birthday as you, per se. But 2 of those people will share a birthday. 50-50 chance.
But I'm wondering what you mean by birthday. This very same day, same year, same everything? Or
no, the same birthday, just the same day. Not
so like Monday through...
No,
okay.
I mean the day. I was born June 26th.
Okay, so was I.
June 26th, exactly.
No,
yeah.
I'm not buying it. Sorry.
You don't believe me? Well, according to this,
I believe you. I believe that you think that's true.
Okay.
I believe the book is telling you that.
Well, it says with 34 people in the room, there's a 4 in 1 chance that 2 people will share the same birthday. And I'll have to look into the mathematics of that and maybe explain it to you. But then
4 in 1 chance?
Yeah, 4 to 1 chance that there's be 2 people that share the exact same birthday.
No.
Okay. Well, anyhow, so maybe that's even lamer. I maybe should cut that out.
Because you know what? Oh, here, hey, I'm sitting here just kind of staring at my computer screen, and Facebook happens to be up. There's a surprise. And I've got random friends on here, hundreds of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever seen one person that has the same birthday as myself. And it's very, very rare for 2 or 3 people to have their birthday on the same day. And I'm looking at hundreds of random people. Your book's full of crap.
Okay.
Give me a break. I took it. No, sorry.
Well, I didn't say it was guaranteed. I said there was a possibility of it. But
well, yeah, and if there's a possibility that, I don't know.
Monkeys will fly out your butt?
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, actually, let's hope there's not a possibility of that. Okay, can we move on? This is like the longest laid to rest ever.
All right, well, I've got one other thing to cover, and this is from Gonzo.
Hi, Gonzo.
Hi. Gonzo was with us way back in episode 23 when we did Blue Velvet. So if you want to hear that, you can find that on the back end page.
Wow, episode 23.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's high time he's on here again?
Maybe so. Maybe so. We need to talk to him and see if he'll join us for an afternoon or an evening there.
Join us.
So he just heard the Vicis Interimo podcast because, of course, we're now on the Horophilia feed, and that's another place that you can find us. And he said Lori was getting gangsta on some people, and S. Michael Jones sounded discouraging when she was getting mad at people for writing reviews. And he finished by saying, I need more gangsta Interimo. Well, if you need that, I've got to get on the ball and get episode 60 working on the bag end page. I'm straddling two computers. But, yeah, go back and listen to that Feast of Flesh episode if you want to hear Lori getting gangsta.
No, that wasn't that bad.
That was hilarious.
And it's funny because I went back and I had written that on that comment. Yeah, because I thought, okay, I'm usually pretty mellow, and to each his own. I'm very, everyone has their own opinion. We're all different. Nobody's right here. I love when people are online and they're arguing about a movie and they're talking like it's fact and they're 100% right that it sucks or they're 100% right that it's the most awesome thing ever. Okay, everybody's different.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm pretty good about, being mellow and going, hey, all right, they liked it, I hated it, but, they liked it, that's great. But, sometimes, though, oh, man, yeah, sometimes, I don't know, I just can't, can't hold back.
Control it. You wouldn't like me when
And it wasn't that bad.
It was great. But anyhow, let's move it on. We're like 14 minutes in here, and...
oh, no.
And, we need to get to the movie review. So let's throw in some music. We'll come back for She Creature. So for this week's movie, She Creature, I had it wrong and was looking up She Beast. I don't know why I was looking for that, so I had the wrong artwork up until up until last night.
What?
I was looking at the 1966 movie and thought, wow, okay, we're going back and doing an oldie. But turns out that's why I was so quick to ask you, what year was this made? When I saw the video...
oh, my gosh.
Well, here's the thing. It was still in some ways very much like that because it had the 50s feel to it, which is what they were going for with the creature features.
Right.
And let's talk a little bit about the genesis of why we did this movie, and then we'll do a synopsis.
Okay.
This was sort of inadvertently sideways listener suggestion. One of our new listeners had suggested or asked if we had seen a documentary regarding the validity of mermaids and the fact that the government may indeed be covering up the fact that mermaids do exist. Well, my initial reaction was that was so outrageous and ridiculous, but I'm definitely interested in hearing what they had to say because this was a documentary on the History Channel.
Right.
When I told you about that, I guess you didn't realize that it was a documentary, or how did that happen?
Well, you didn't give me enough information, which is very common in our lives.
That never happens.
That happens every day. I never know what you're talking about because you just give me little snippets. No.
You got to keep up, man. You got to be faster.
Faster what?
Grasping what I'm saying.
Okay, well, say something for me to grasp. Okay, anyway. You had said that it was I do remember you now saying that it was a documentary on mermaids and this and that, but I don't know why you mentioned it in passing, and it just, the mermaid thing stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
So since, sometimes we do get suggestions or people ask us if we've seen certain horror movies or they suggest we check something out.
Like Lordy?
Like Lordy, yeah. So that kind of stuck in my head. So I was thinking mermaid. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, horror movie with a mermaid in it. That sounds kind of awesome. So I don't know where I got that. But so I was searching for it on Netflix and, of course, didn't find it because that's not where it was. It's a documentary. But anyway, I ran into She Creature. And so I thought, well, I can't find the one that you guys are all talking about. So I added this one and bumped it to the top and figured we should check it out.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you did.
Me too.
That kind of gives a little bit away to say that we obviously like this one, but let's hear what the synopsis is.
Okay. And this is from 2001, and it is, in fact, rated R.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Carnival workers Angus and Lily befriend a wealthy old sailor who shows them his deadly prize, a real live mermaid held captive in a tank. Eager for fame and fortune, Angus and his crew steal the sea creature and sail for America. But nothing can prepare them for the terror that awaits them as their boat drifts out to sea. Sebastian Gutierrez directs this low-budget horror flick set in the early 1900s. That's it.
Wow.
Now, okay, it's described as a low-budget horror flick.
I disagree.
It was awesome for a low-budget horror flick.
Well, maybe low compared to, the
it was
$30 million or whatever they want to spend on this and that, or $100 million or whatever, but
yeah, and we've
impressive.
We've had a lot of problems lately with the terms low-budget, micro-budget. Some films, I have a friend who does low-budget films, and I've learned he does not like the term low-budget. I guess it has a negative connotation. He prefers micro-budget. But, micro-budget I think of as being even less money and lower than a low-budget. So, I'm sorry if I don't know.
If we're offending,
if
we're offending anybody, sorry.
Yeah, I just, sometimes they can be used interchangeable. This says low budget, but they had a high, low budget range. They had to have.
Yeah.
Because the effects were really good.
The effects were great.
The sets were there. We watched a little bit of the making of. They built a lot of their own sets, and they looked great.
Right. A lot of practical effects, some computer effects. And it was really good. Now, it was almost too good. The scenes or the sets, in some cases, were too clean and convincing.
Yeah, and I see why now. Because as soon as I realized the majority of this thing was going to be on an old ship, I was like, yay, because, I love that. But, yeah, a lot of like you said, it looked very neat and clean, but I see why now. They built it.
They just built it, yeah. Who knows how long it's for.
Yeah, it didn't have that aged look, but you know what? I forgave it. It was fine. I think they did a great job. The sets were there. The scenes were nice. The costumes. I feel like they got everything right because this was, like it said, it was supposed to be early 1900s.
Yeah.
It said that, didn't it?
Yes, it did. And, yeah, we talked a little bit about when we were reviewing some of the H.P. Lovecraft shorts and so on that were also micro-budget.
Now that I would say was micro budget for sure.
Right. But those things, they didn't have the money to do the props and so on. And so in some cases, we complained that those took us out of the story. In this, it did not. You know what took me out of the story? The one thing that took me out of the story in this.
Let's see if it's what took me out of it.
Was the fact it was shot on video or shot with a new, it didn't have that rich film look to it.
Right.
And I don't know, I started to say that I would have rather they put the money into putting this on film because I enjoyed it that much, but you know what, that may not have worked out because it was so convincing with the props and the set.
Right.
That, maybe if they had skimped on that to go for film, it would have, lost something in translation. So, and that was a minor complaint. Like I said, when the credits started and I saw the tight video, I don't know how to describe that, but you can almost always tell when something's shot to video.
Yeah.
Or often tell. I won't say always. But you can often tell that. And
I noticed it, too, right from the beginning, and I thought, oh, no.
Yeah, exactly. I worried about that, too. I thought, oh, no, what are we getting in for?
But then I got over it almost immediately, and I didn't even really notice it after that.
Yeah. Well,
you know what? The acting was really great.
Top-notch cast. I'm amazed. I don't have a list of them in front of me and stuff, but the people because I'm just not that prepared. The people
we suck at that. I hope people who listen to us regularly know we're all about the story and the entertainment value. We don't get caught up a lot of times on all the behind-the-scenes stuff and all the names of all the producers and directors, and we'll sometimes talk about the actors and actresses.
Right, if they stand out or if we really join.
Well, now, see, you said top-notch cast.
Well,
Angus was played by an actor named Rufus Sewell.
Mm-hmm.
And Lily was played by, oh gosh, I'm not going to be able to pronounce her last name right. Carla Gugino.
Okay.
I hope. I'm sorry, Carla. But we've seen them, as soon as they both came out, I was like, okay, these people are familiar with me. I know I've seen them in things.
Right.
Actually, she was in, I think the thing that was most noticeable in her list of movies was Spy Kids, which I maybe watched with one of the kids at one time.
Okay.
But what did we see him at? When it gave his list of movies.
When it gave his list of movies, the first thing I noticed... Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, I was trying to bluff and cover while I looked up on IMDb because I forgot what you were going to say. So you've blown that illusion now. What is it we saw him in?
He was in Knight's Tale.
Knight's Tale.
Yeah.
Which
we're going to watch again soon. I think it's time for you to see it again.
Well, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. That's for sure.
Yes, but aside from, they did have, I felt like everybody was just really, really solid actors.
Absolutely. And when you see it, if you do watch this, and I would recommend that you do, you're going to go, oh, it's that guy.
Yes.
A lot. You're going to be looking at it.
Yeah, you've seen these people before.
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody puts in a grid. Now, would you think it would be a little slow for some people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going, because you just said you would absolutely recommend it, and I'm already, in my head, I'm sorting out all the people I know. I would recommend it to some, and I would not recommend it to others.
Well,
it's what we call, I think, sometimes a slow burn.
Yeah.
It's slow, it's subtle, there's a lot of dialogue, but I mean, it kept me interested. I was really interested in following it. I was not bored. Some people, I think, would be bored. Where's the action? Where's the, but the action is not until the end, really. Little things happen here and there, building up to it, but it's definitely slow.
Well, I'm going to say for the first 10 minutes of the movie, I was unsure. Like I said, there were a few things working against in the back of my head as far as being shot to video or having that look to it. I thought, oh, okay, what am I in for? And then the dialogue started, and it kind of had a feel of a low budget, no, not low budget, but it had...
Careful.
Yeah, sorry. It had the feel, though, of like maybe a Night Visions or a Twilight Zone episode to begin with. You know what I mean? Those first scenes that take place in kind of a carnival sideshow. And you can tell you got a limited cast on a small set, and all those things were, as I was watching and listening, I'm thinking, I'm absorbing all that, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm worried. And then I'd say about 10 minutes or so in, when they get to the gentleman's house, now they said that they befriended somebody, and I'm not sure that's quite right.
Well, yeah, I was going to talk a little bit about that whole opening bit.
Yeah, but after that changes, after they go to a gentleman's house, the sea captain, and he introduces them to his prize, it's like, oh, wow, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it from there on out.
Interesting, yeah. Well, she looked awesome.
She was awesome. The mermaid, she was gorgeous, and it was well done.
Oh, they did a great job.
Everything, yeah.
She was so convincing. I thought, oh no, what are they going to make this mermaid look like? Because it could go really wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But it did not go wrong at all. She was beautiful. Her tail was beautiful. Everything worked great. It was convincing. It looked natural. She looked real.
Well, there's Stan Winston effects, so I mean... Okay,
the one thing I was going to say that I did not care for was the treatment of her hands. She had like the, Aquaman type, webbed fingers. Oh, sorry.
Go
ahead.
I'm sorry, that's a useless factoid. I want
to hear it.
I used to get silly putty and do that with my hands. Because it was flesh-colored and the man from Atlantis was big and whatever. Okay, sorry.
Remember when that was on TV in the 70s?
I do.
I loved watching that. It was so cool.
I never got to watch that because I was always on punishment and never allowed to watch TV, so...
You poor thing.
I at least saw that much and thought that was cool. So
I got to watch it whenever it was on. I was so happy. I loved it.
So anyhow, back to the movie. Yeah.
Wait, what?
You didn't like her fingers or hands?
No. I liked the webbed treatment. I liked that. Mm-hmm. But in a couple scenes, they looked more like they were gloves. Like you could kind of see the seam at the wrist. Mm-hmm. That's where that attention to detail is so important. But, we watched... the series Face Off on Sci-Fi Channel last season, and they had to create a creature that would be a water creature, and their makeup had to stand up underwater. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a duh. Any kind of glue, anything you use, and then you stick it in the water, things are going to fall apart.
Right.
So, in this movie, for the most part, it was great. I really can't complain. And that little bit of, it was just one scene in particular. I thought, oh no, her hands look bad. Looked like she was wearing green gloves or something because you could see the line.
Right.
But I so totally forgive that because everything was done so well.
Right. Quickly then about the story. What did you think about the story itself?
I love the story.
Well, I did too, and I liked, because for me it had the H.P. Lovecraft feel of a nested narrative a bit, and I would have liked to have seen maybe more of that, but again, this isn't a complaint. It's just something I would have liked to have seen even more.
Right.
They go back and they read some of the history because the mermaid has been kept by someone for a year or more. Yes. And they kept notes, so you get the story of what happened to the previous owners or, what happened with that.
Right.
And I would have liked to know more about the capture of the mermaid, just what happened, and more of the history and lore. I got to admit, at the beginning, I fell victim to the whole Disney homogenization of, creatures and monsters, and I'm thinking at the outset, well, really, what big deal, a mermaid, that's not going to be scary or interesting, just in general.
Right.
But then lately we've had a little bit more with the Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Uh-huh.
Showing a little bit more about what
they're really about.
Yeah, what they were. And then they talk about that, too, in the beginning of this, in the introduction. And,
right.
They talk about the fact that sirens were bird women that were luring sailors to their death, but then somewhere along the lines, those got changed to fish women. And so they talk a little bit about that. So I enjoyed that in the movie.
Right.
And then, of course, like I said, I enjoyed the story, and I would have liked even more of it, but it was definitely good from that sense.
See, and part of that was actually in the making of, and where they actually talked to Gutierrez about what he was thinking and what he was wanting to do with this. And he said he wanted to do like an Edgar Allan Poe-like gothic tale. Mm-hmm. And he was taken by the story of the mermaids and, like you said, how they were originally bird women.
Right. And as he pointed out, this is no Splash.
No, it's not Splash. And this is no Ariel.
No, it sure isn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, having said that, great. I would give this I would give this a solid 8 for an average viewer, and then for me, I'd give it like a 9.
What's an average viewer?
I don't know. For an average person listening to this podcast, that likes it, and be aware that again that it can go slow if you're just wanting horror and adventure, whatever.
And that's why you said you would have liked more in the story and more explanation and more history and stuff. But I think they kept that down to a minimum.
Just to move it along?
Because some people are not going to want to sit there and hear all of that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I'll try not to talk about my experience of going to the preview there of Halloween 8.
Right.
8, actually. But yeah, that was a sad day for me because I realized that myself and a couple of my friends that went to go see the preview, we care about stories.
Right.
But I learned that the general public and horror fans a lot of times, or at least the horror fans that were there this night, they don't give a rip about the story. Show me the blood, show me the guts, where's the action? I just want to see Michael Myers killing everybody.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but what about and they're like, what are you even talking about? There's a story, Druid curse, there's family, what are you talking about? Some underground organization that they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Show me the blood. Show me the knives and the gore and the blood. So
yeah, I'm amazed by how many people go to a movie just to enjoy it visually and not. I go there because I think of it as a movie as an extension of storytelling.
Yes.
It's another way to enjoy a book that you read or some way get something out of it. I don't know.
You know what?
What?
That's what I love about you.
Oh, now we're grossing people out.
That's okay. You're my perfect match because that's what movies have always been for me. That's what even music is for me. You call me a music snob because I don't love everything. But you know what? Music, like movies, like stories, they're so personal. They make me feel something,
Yeah.
And that's what I love about movies. So if I go to a movie and it has just some thrown together lame story that's there just as a vehicle for the blood and guts and the, horror aspects, but it's not really, like, I don't care.
Yeah. The other reason I call you a music snob is because you're a music snob. Okay. So anyhow, what's your rating on this? What's your rating on this movie?
You stink. That's not what I love about you. No, just kidding. Just kidding. I see what you're doing. Stop pointing at me. Well, I guess my rating would be probably about an 8.
An 8. Okay.
A high 8.
Yeah.
For myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move it along because we do have a couple of things to cover in a Garbage In, Garbage Out.
Okay.
And so we'll do that. And, we'll be back. For Garbage In, Garbage Out, we saw Super 8. What did you think about Super 8?
Oh, yes, I forgot we saw it.
Oh, that's not a good sign then.
Oh, I wanted something different. I wanted something more.
Yeah, and it's funny you should say more because they jammed so much into it that there was maybe too much going on, I think.
Well, not more as in addition to, more as in maybe get rid of some of what they gave us and then give me more.
Concentrated on, yeah, because it almost felt like there were the 2 or 3 stories or 2 or 3 movies going on there at
right.
once.
I know, at the end felt like E.T., and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like we're trying to help this lovable alien back to his home. I'm like, wait, what? Okay, because I saw him eating a person earlier.
Now, have we spoiled it by saying what it is? Because up until now, I didn't have any idea what it was. I had avoided any information.
Oh, yeah. Oops.
So
I think we're the lamers. I think we're the last ones to see it, and I didn't know anything about it either. I was so careful not to, like you, I didn't read a thing. I don't research things before I watch it. I like to go in cold.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just kept seeing that people were saying, oh, it's a cross between, they felt like it was Goonies meets
Cloverfield,
or yeah. So I thought, okay, Cloverfield, I saw that. All right, video, got it. You're not knowing what's going on. You don't know what this thing is. Something's happening. So, I had an idea what I was in for. But, yeah, it was a little strange for me, and I don't know why.
Yeah, it kind of lost a little something there. So,
it was way too heavy to be Goonies.
Yeah.
And it was definitely more than Cloverfield.
Yeah.
I did not like Cloverfield, but it was that whole I'm going to throw up from the camera swinging around for 2 hours.
Right.
I couldn't even hardly watch that, so.
Right. And I had a little feel of Iron Giant in there, too, but it wasn't light enough either for that. Iron Giant had kind of a heavy-ish, not heavy story, but right. I thought it was still kid-appropriate. This one, not necessarily. And not that it would be offensive to kids, but I think it was too much to...
Yeah, it was just heavier. It was definitely not, because a lot of times when they cast kids of that age in a movie, kids of that age can go and really enjoy it, which I think kids that age can, but it was a much heavier, definitely an introduction into horror, I guess.
Yeah.
It wasn't a horror movie, really. But for kids, I think it would be, because it was heavy, and, there was deeper stories behind, the boy's mom who was, killed at the factory, and his little girlfriend there, her dad taking the responsibility. There was all these other things going on, some heavy topics that people were dealing with, and, the kids didn't have the support of their parents, and that's always kind of a heavy... makes a movie feel heavier.
Yeah.
Kids are just kind of on their own. Their parents are angry or abusive, so it was much heavier than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
But I heard it was, though. I did at least hear that part. Goonies, but not.
Right.
Or Goonies is just a fun romp, But yeah, it was, and the thing I think I liked the best about it was, so obviously we already said what it was and what happens at the end, so we've already spoiled it. But I liked the story behind the alien, how he got there. I liked how he was trying to get away. I liked the cubes. I'm not going to go into all this great detail, but I loved the sci-fi aspects of it because I love sci-fi.
Right.
So I loved all of that. I did not love how the creature himself looked when I finally got to see it. I think it was overdone.
Right.
And it just looked a little too CG and stupid for me. People might love him. But the face and everything, I was like, what? Not what I was expecting, not what I wanted, but whatever. Don't always get what you want.
Yeah.
But so I love the sci-fi aspect of it, and I think the best part for me was the old footage, and it reminded me of Lost, watching the old Dharma films.
Right.
It was, the old black and white films of them, having the creature locked up, and they're trying to learn about him, and, he has a psychic connection. If you make contact with it and touch it, you have a psychic connection. Those were my favorite parts of the movie, but that was just a very small part.
Right. Okay. Well, here's another thing that we watched, and what did you think of Deadman Wonderland now that it's ended? We talked about it a little bit a few episodes ago when we started watching it. We finished the run, or at least the run that's aired on Cartoon Network.
Right.
And what did you think about that?
I actually really like it a lot.
Really? Okay.
I do. There's a few things that I don't know if it's getting lost in translation or if they just haven't revealed enough information yet. But I am lost on some stuff. You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
We'll be watching it, and it's like, well, we still don't know what's up with this girl or with that dude, or how did they get here? What's going on?
Right.
We do that a lot, but I'm intrigued, and I'm enjoying it, and I like Ganta, the main character.
Right. Did it make a difference for you that he got older during the series? I know early on you didn't like it because he was only 13 years old.
Well, it was pretty harsh because this is a rated R cartoon. They bleep out all the cussing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they take out some of the gorier stuff, but
Not much. I mean, I'm imagining, again, it is on Cartoon Network, it is on TV, but it's still fairly graphic.
Yeah, and, that could be shocking, I guess, if you're not used to anime and manga, but a lot of the children a lot of times aren't spared, and they're put through really horrible situations, and Ganta's been, he was a schoolboy, found himself imprisoned, totally innocent, didn't do anything, and these just horrific things are being done to him.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's a little rough. He needs to either, he needs to step up or get tough or die or something because this isn't working.
Right.
But he definitely toughens up, and he wants out of there, and he meets other rebels, and without going into the whole big story, it's really grown on me. And
yeah, it's pretty good.
I look forward to watching it.
Speaking of child abuse and mistreatment, you've been reading lately.
Oh, gosh, yes.
What have you been reading?
I've been reading the Hunger Games trilogy.
Okay. In preparation for watching the movie, or?
No.
Okay.
No. My best online friend, CJ. Hi, CJ. She's been wanting me to read them. She's read them and really loves them a lot, and she wants somebody to talk with about them. Mm-hmm. So she bought me the first two for my Kindle, had them sent straight to my Kindle for my graduation, which was awesome. Thank you. And so I got reading them, and
well, I got to say, it wasn't long before you had already purchased the third one. I don't think you'd even finished the other ones yet.
No, I got through the first one. And if you enjoy reading, I would recommend these to anybody, actually.
Yeah, they're not just kids' books?
No. I mean, even though the author, it's supposed to be a teen novel, it's a heavy story. And if you're, I keep thinking V for Vendetta. I'm thinking Running Man. If you love those stories, this is so for you. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter that it's a teen novel. All that means is that it's written in a pretty simple language, that it's an easy read, and the books are short. Okay. So all that means is that you could get through them and enjoy them faster. Gotcha. It's not a book that you're going to get bogged down and be reading for a month. I think I got through the Hunger Games, and it just took me a couple days. Of course, I had jury duty and had 6 hours to sit there.
That helped.
Yeah, but then when I got home, I'm like, okay, I've got a lot of work to do. I sat in a chair and I just kept reading it, and I got through it. And I'm almost done with the second book, Catching Fire, and then I had already bought the last book, Mockingjay.
Okay.
And it's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy, and it's pretty twisted, and you just, oh my gosh, you just feel for these people. And I'm like cheering them on. And like I said, V for Vendetta is one of my top 10 favorite movies ever. Mm. And this has a strong feel of that. I keep thinking back to that. And like I said, Running Man, you can't help it. Something interesting that CJ brought up, and I loved it. She brought up Survivor. Mm-hmm. Survivor comes on a couple times a year, and everyone tunes in on their TV and watches these people duke it out on an island. She brought up how reality TV, and especially Survivor, was a perfect example. Like, it's getting more and more harsh, and, those first few seasons, they did more like sporting events, and it was a little more civil, but they're making it more and more gnarly. The physical contact injuries. Right. People are clawing at each other. She brought up that disgusting challenge that you didn't watch. You closed your eyes, where everybody had to bite giant chunks off of this disgusting pig that was hanging from a rope.
Well, now I just sound like a wuss.
You are a wuss. Okay. Well, you're a meat weirdo, so you don't even eat pork. So not like that anyway. That was like big giant ham on a rope or whatever, or whatever it was hanging from. And, and what did the winners get? They got to take home a big bowl of pork that had been in people's mouth, spit-covered pork. So it's sick. It's sick and it's twisted. And maybe it's wrong, I don't know, but we're like, yeah, get in there, rip his head off, you can do it. And, she said she'd visited farms where people were, like, wishing Colton would die and stuff. So, when I'm
becoming the gladiatorial arena, I guess.
Exactly.
That's one of the things, if I have my history correct, and I may not, I don't always, but I remember the gladiatorial games being introduced. I don't remember them being introduced. That didn't sound right. I remember reading or hearing that when the gladiatorial games were first introduced and they initially killed people in the arena, it was taken poorly by the Romans, and they didn't like that and didn't appreciate that. So they had to back them off and reintroduce it, slowly leading up to the killing and the feeding of Christians to lions and stuff like that. And it didn't,
right.
Like I said initially, and their people's appetites got more and more, and then it became further and further. Same thing with the first few seasons of Survivor and stuff. I don't think physical contact was allowed throughout the events.
No, I remember, because I've watched this is where I'm a Survivor weenie. I watch it every single season, except for that season that Jenna won. I didn't watch it the season after that. And I'm not the first person I've heard say that either. Everybody hated when she won. She did not deserve it. Sorry, Jenna, you stink. But yeah, it was pretty mellow. I love watching it because I love people out being challenged, and a lot of time it's them being challenged by nature. That's what I love about it. Mm-hmm. And now they always put them on a beach where there's plenty of stuff to eat and plenty of things they've actually improved that, I think, because if you watch the one where they were in Africa or Australia and a couple of the other ones where they were on beaches, those people almost died out there of starvation.
Right.
So it was like I was rooting for them because I love camping and I love being out in nature, and that was what I loved about Survivor, watching man against nature. But now it's absolutely, of course, there was the social game and you're backstabbing and people were actually against each other also. But now that's what it's more about, pitting everybody against each other. Jeff and his questions where he's instigating fights between people, and people want to see people killing each other out there.
Yeah.
It's true. People love it. We love it for some reason. I don't necessarily love it, but so anyway, yes. Guess we were talking about the Hunger Games.
Right.
But yeah,
worth a read, huh?
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, you wonder why and how these people. I keep wondering, what is it about the people who live in the Capitol who watch these? They don't have to send their children in to die, so they're totally immune from this. They're pretty detached, but they do watch it on television and on the big screen, and they bet for their winners, and they can send gifts out to the ones they want to succeed. They're watching these kids die. Why the nonchalant kind of, I guess they're just immune to it, or they've watched it all these years and it's just part of life, and that's all.
Maybe.
But so as tides are turning, they fall in love so much with Katniss, the main character, where I think they start seeing things different. I see this happening. I'm not far enough along, so I don't know. I keep wanting to talk to CJ about it. She's like, just finish them first and then we'll talk. But I have so many questions for her. I need to just finish reading them and then figure it out. But yeah, I would recommend it absolutely to anybody and everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, unless you hate reading and you don't care about,
Don't care about good stories.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, no, it's government heavy. Like
right.
I said, I think.
Well, it's supposed to be an allegory. I've heard it referred to as being an allegory. So.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. You could totally see ourselves in everything that's going on in this. I mean, the social strata and. Yeah, it's us. It absolutely is us, and it takes place here in America.
Okay.
But yeah, I would just say if you love stories like V for Vendetta, and you thought Running Man was cool, and we even got talking about Deadman Wonderland.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they're all a little bit of a different story. Running Man is, of course, criminals being thrown in an arena. They're all a little different, and V for Vendetta was a little bit of a different story, but the whole government suppression and you not being able to have any rights at all. We cry so much here about, I can't do this or that. Well, try going and living some other places.
Right.
You know, so if you're into that kind of thing, yeah, I would absolutely recommend The Hunger Games.
Well, that brings us to the other thing that I was going to talk about for Garbage In, Garbage Out, which is we watched The Running Man. So, yeah, that was where my final comment on Garbage In, Garbage Out was that we also got to enjoy that again, which is just a classic movie that just keeps getting more fun as we watch it, I think. Richard Dawson's performance, Schwarzenegger's corny lines, just fun stuff.
It's great. It's always been my favorite Arnold movie.
Hit me up now with some crawling chaos. I'll put in some music.
Where is he? Where is he? That's a problem you're going to have to solve before it's too late. He has about 2 hours before the gas creeping into his nervous system begins to break down his body tissue and he begins to bleed from every orifice he has. Oh, yes. There will be blood.
So after a brief intermission, we're back to finish up with our crawling chaos. And what's our crawling chaos this week?
Well, I thought I would tell you a little bit about Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Oh, okay. I was going to say the crawling chaos is going to be us because unlike the shut-ins that we occasionally portray during the podcast, we're actually going to get out and go to an event. I guess it's going to be an event.
Yes? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you're talking about, but...
Oh, well, I was just going to give you... most people haven't heard about the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, so I was just going to give a little bit of history and talk about the cemetery.
Oh, okay.
And you're jumping all kinds of ahead because you're excited.
Okay, sorry. Tell us about the Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Well, now it sounds all boring.
We'll end with a big finish, so go ahead.
Okay. Well, what do you know about the cemetery?
You know, I know virtually nothing about it, so anything you tell me is going to be exciting and new to me.
Oh, good. Well, here we go. Hollywood Forever is a cemetery unlike any other in the world. Did you know that?
I didn't. And we get to spend the night there.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting too excited again.
Yeah, calm down, sir. One of the world's most fascinating landmarks, Hollywood Forever Cemetery, is the final resting place to more of Hollywood's founders and stars than anywhere else on Earth. It was founded in 1899. Did you know that?
I didn't know any of this.
Okay, well, the cemetery was an integral part of the growth of early Hollywood. So that's kind of cool.
That is.
Paramount Studios was built on the back half of the original Hollywood Cemetery, where the studio is still in operation today. The cemetery of choice for most of the founders of Hollywood's great studios, as well as writers, directors, and performers, Hollywood Forever Cemetery is now listed on the National Register of Historic Sites.
Wow.
Did you know that?
I didn't know any of that. You keep asking me that, and I keep telling you I knew nothing about this.
Well, next time I ask, you'll be able to say, yes, I knew that.
Hopefully you won't ask me again.
You know, it's really hot in this room. I think I'm delirious.
I think you might be.
I'm about done with August and heat and, yeah. Ugh. Okay, well, anyway, visitors come from all over the world to pay respects to Johnny Ramone, Cecil B. DeMille, Jane Mansfield, Rudolph Valentino, Douglas Fairbanks, and hundreds more of Hollywood's greatest stars.
Cool.
So there you go.
And we get to spend the night there tonight.
Yeah, now you can talk about that. You're just all excited.
Well, like I said, I'm treating it like we are shut-ins and we never go anywhere. But anyhow, yeah, we're gonna have. They're having a film. What is a film festival? How often do they do this? We're basically going to. Well, there's a number of movies that they're going to be showing there at the cemetery, and it's available for a sleepover tonight. So we already got tickets through a friend. Thanks, Ro.
Thank you, Ro.
You might remember Ro from winning the Guar T-shirt.
Yay!
Way back in episode, I don't know, what was that? 6, 7, 10?
I don't know.
It's been a while.
No one was real excited, I don't think, to win that cool Guar T-shirt.
Well, Ro certainly was.
Well, of course, one of my cool friends was going to win it. Thank you.
All right.
She won it fair and square, too.
Okay.
Okay, well, the event that's tonight is called Films from Dusk Till Dawn, and there's 3 films: Hot Wet American Summer, and Sleepaway Camp at midnight. So
Yay, that's what we're going to see.
That's what we're going for. Well, we'll be there for the whole thing, and then after that, Little Darlings, starring Tatum O'Neal and Christy McNichols. So it's kind of a it's an old campy movie film festival. That's
fine by me.
Yeah, but there's going to be DJs and Friday the 13th highlights and nature and surfing documentaries and photo booths and camp activities. All kinds of stuff going on there at the cemetery tonight.
Cool. I don't know if we're going to stay all night, but...
Well, it parties on till 6. We'll see what happens.
All right.
I'm usually a pumpkin before 2 a.m., so we'll see. Well. You asked how often they hold events there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and this is good for locals to know. I'm actually going to post a link. Actually, if you just want to go to HollywoodForever.com, that's the cemetery's website, and just click on cultural events, and you'll see all kinds of fun things to pick from. They have music events, films. A lot of times it's one film. I think Hitchcock's The Birds is coming up at the end of the month.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to go check that out, tickets are like usually $10 to $12, I think, as far as what I can see for movies. Some music events are a little more, $20, depending on who it is there that's performing. I see a lot of shows coming up that are already sold out.
Wow.
But, and they do a really great Dia de los Muertos celebration. But, so there's all kinds of neat things to do there. Yeah, I'll be posting links to the website and information on tonight's event though this isn't it's going to be after the fact, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess your timing's off on that one.
So tonight's event, but there's upcoming stuff. So, okay, what else do you have to say about that?
That's it. I guess I blurted all out there right at the beginning that I was excited to be getting to go out and catch a flick.
Okay. Well, now I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, I got to keep you on your toes.
Okay.
While I was looking up information on the event and stuff, I ran into a forum where people were chit-chatting, and they weren't exactly disgusted, but they were concerned and felt that it was maybe disrespectful to be having big events like this in a cemetery.
That's an interesting question, and it's one that I'm not going to say I've struggled with, but I've thought about, not necessarily pertaining to this, but I've always, growing up the way I did, and then actually working in a cemetery myself for a while.
All right, Digger. All right.
Okay.
Get back in the hole.
Oh, nice. Anyhow, I've often thought about that because when I go to cemeteries or graveyards, I never step where I think the person is laying and just whatever.
Right.
So, I don't know. I think it's fine. I don't know.
Okay.
Well,
it was interesting, and it spurred an interesting conversation because some people were saying, "Oh, yes, it should be just a solemn, quiet." People are trying to
ground.
Yes, people are trying to rest there. A DJ and vendors and people tromping all over. A lot of people didn't like that idea, but then many, many others said, "Oh my gosh, what better place?"
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, just because,
it's Hollywood, it's a spectacle, it's an event, it
was more like, why do cemeteries have to be a place of such bummer and sadness?
Well, true.
Why can't it be a place of, lighter and fun and celebrating life?
Yeah.
Okay, well, and here's, I don't know much about this, but according to one person on there who's followed the history, a man came on and he said, well, before the current owners purchased the cemetery, the place was falling into disrepair. It should be a landmark and it should be preserved and taken care of, but it was, the old owners weren't able to care for it, and they weren't getting the money, and things were starting to crumble, and the whole place was going downhill. But the new owners, when they purchased it, they decided to start doing these cultural events for the community to come in. And since then, they've been able to generate so much money that they've repaired a lot of things. They've given everything a facelift, you know. So a lot of people agreed that it's never looked better.
I mean, I'm obviously okay with it because I'm excited to go spend the night there.
We're going to go put out our lawn chairs and sit there and eat munchies and watch a horror movie. And
I don't know. It all seems quite fitting. But, yeah, I mean, that's good depending on, I don't know. I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay, yeah, it's just an interesting thing to think about. I guess everyone's going to have a different feeling about it.
True enough.
I personally love cemeteries, and I have ever since I was little, and would just stroll through them. And they don't feel particularly depressing or solemn to me, so...
Yeah.
Granted, I'm not sure I've, partied much in cemeteries, but, you see people doing it in movies.
All the time.
All the time.
That's what I was thinking. What better place to do a horror movie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, that's an interesting thought. I mean, obviously you wouldn't want to party while somebody's being buried there or something, but...
Oh, my goodness.
Since
that's
it's an event...
That's a whole other thing.
But,
and if I had loved ones there, buried there, I wouldn't have a problem with that. If I thought of people,
Okay.
And it's not like partying, getting drunk and stupid partying. People who've been to these events before say it's always very respectful. People are there to have fun and enjoy the movies or vendors or music or whatever. And, it's not some crazy out of hand, it's not Woodstock or anything.
Right.
So, why not? I think it's okay. And depending on who you are, or all those people who are buried there, where are they anyway? Are there, you might think their spirits are sitting there upset that people are, disturbing their rest, but, you might think their spirits are long gone anyway, so... Yeah. They're not going to care.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe they're enjoying it with you, so...
There you go.
Bringing some life to it, no pun intended.
Yeah, but I love that they do these events and that the money goes back to care for the cemetery because it is an iconic location and it should be cared for and taken care of.
Right. Right.
So anyway, that's what we're doing tonight.
All right. Well, super.
So next week, would you like to have Sleepaway Camp as our movie, and we can talk about our experience there at the...
Possibly. I was thinking about taking the MP3 player with us. I don't know. You had talked about getting some Man on the Grass interviews, but I thought you meant something else. I think you just meant people there visiting.
Well, I had said man on the street interviews, and I thought, it's not much street, it's grass. It'll be the man on the grass. Yeah, and then that brought up a whole nother misunderstanding.
We may work on our title there, but we'll see. I'm gonna wipe out everything on the MP3 player, take that with me, and see. Maybe I'll get some interviews and get a cross-section of the people that are there. At any rate, we may do a special episode, or we may just add that on to the end of next week's podcast if we do get some interviews. I'm really not the kind to walk up to people and, just introduce myself and ask, hey, what are you doing here? But maybe I'll get over that shyness. And
I'm not sure that's quite how you would approach it anyway. Hey, what are you doing here? They'd be like, what did my parents send you?
You're standing on somebody's grave. That's my uncle. Move over.
Oh, no.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be more fun.
Gosh.
You just prank them.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we'll see what actually ends up happening.
All right. Well,
it might be fun to do part of the show from there, and we could just talk about what's going on and what we're experiencing. There's supposed to be, DJs and vendors and all this cool stuff happening. I'm looking forward to the meatballs mashup.
Yes.
Which just sounds weird. It's the movie, Meatballs.
Right. What's it getting mashed up with?
Yeah, I don't know. So, and the Friday the 13th highlights, that could be fun.
Okay.
So we'll see what all we experience there, and we'll talk about it next time.
Sounds good. In the meantime, you can get in contact with us directly by emailing me at madsaxon@yahoo.com. Again, that's MADSAXXON @yahoo.com. Look us up on Facebook. Find us on the Horophilia feed. We're still members of the Horror Podcasting Alliance, and I think that's about it for now. The heat's affecting us both, I think.
Seriously, it is so hot. I am so done with this heat.
All right.
You know where we live here? We don't have air conditioning. Nobody has air conditioning where we live because it doesn't get hot.
Right.
It gets hot once a month in August, and we just sit here and die.
Yeah.
It's very humid, and it's gross, and yeah.
Yeah. And on that note, I think we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I'd like to go hang out at the grocery store for a little while.
Okay.
Go sit in the frozen section, find a crate to sit on.
All right. Well, we'll leave you with that image and say, come on back next week. In the meantime, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.